Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hanging out with these nerds.
Nathan Nerdarch.
Nerdarch is Ted.
And we do a session recap from Aether Skies, the beginning of the end. Jump down the description below where you can find Nerdarchy, the newsletter, gain weekly tips as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
So, Open Legend, we ran our first game on the channel.
Yeah, kind of our intro session. We did a couple session zeros where we all world built it together. I ran the game, you played in the game, you watched the game.
So it was a spectator.
Yeah, so I'm curious, like, your take as a spectator watching the game and not really taking part in the actual, like, world building with the rest of us.
It was very interesting to watch. Definitely is different play feel than what we're used to as 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons and Dungeons and Dragons in general. So I would say it had the feel of a different game in a little bit. It felt more narrative. I felt that, like, looking at that, it was interesting to see the different play styles of the people as well, because except for watching the session zero, I never really saw most of the people that were participating in it play before. But overall, I liked it. It was the neat concept of mashing all. I'm amazed how everything just kind of fit together from the session zero, and I feared for the players' lives, characters' lives.
Did you feel like there was, like, is there any kind of, like, overtones that kind of spoke to you as you're watching it? Anything that, like, could have kind of stood out?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, like, there's a lot of things that stood out to me. Well, you had the kind of, like, great old ones, kind of Cthulhian horror feel, I felt, and then you had the aspects of a little bit of tech available. I mean, they're on airships and moving around through the Aether. And then it was interesting to see the different take on how the magic works. From that one person in the prologue. I call it the prologue. Hope you don't mind. But it kind of felt like that because it was kind of like the lead in before everybody was, like, as much as possible. Flat, stable Earth.
It was a shortened session, and it was designed to get people hooked into the game, and we'll continue later on this week with session 2 and really get things rolling along.
Yeah, like this. Well, this actually video may go up after section 2 actually happens. But
sure.
Yeah, that being said, and that was the feel I was going for. I wanted that Cthulhian feel. I wanted the players to be like, oh, these aren't standard monsters. I'm not going to be a monster hunter killer with these things. These things are much more dangerous than that. And I was hoping that, like, that would be conveyed to my players. I'm not really sure because in that session, one of them, like, tried to jump on a creature's back, and the thing was, like, probably bigger than the airship they were on, and and almost got left behind. Another player contacted its mind, and it was literally like if you were to try and contact, Cthulhu's mind. Imagine how you think that would go. That's pretty much how it went.
It gave me the impression that it's like it's almost more like cat and mouse. And all brave mice are dead mice, so it's kind of like some of these players, I don't know if they're going to make it with that kind of attitude. It seemed like it was like a clear run away from the situation as fast as possible.
For me, it was one of those things where it was entirely unique because it was kind of like almost a micro session, because it was shorter than any other gaming session that I'd been involved in. And I literally rolled the die once, I think.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of narration. We wanted to explore the mechanics a little bit. Session 2 will definitely get more into that, more into rolling dice for mechanics. But this one was really about just role playing and kind of setting the tone for the world and the game we're going to play in.
I'm definitely enjoying it. I think the things we came up with as part of the session 0 are already beginning to feed into the actual game, and I find that aspect pretty awesome.
Yeah, so I'm kind of intrigued to see where things go now, because Open Legend has this unique thing where either success with a twist or the failure actually you have failure but the story progresses, right? So in that sense we kind of had that with Bill's character from Comic Book University in a big way. Because his character, technically, in any other type of role-playing game, would have died, right? Yeah. But because Open Legends is narrative-based and deaths really only happen if they're narrated into the game, You know, he received enough psychic damage that he like his head in D&D his head would have blown up, and like he would have just been flat out dead, no dying, anything like that.
Right, because I mean, you did more than double the hit points.
Yes, but because Open Legend works a little bit different, being a little nice and open in session, and I think I'm going to propel the story forward with that whole thing. Like, that's not the end of it. Something bad happened in the session with that, right? If you guys watch, you'll see. But it ain't over yet. We're just getting started.
To me, that particular style only makes me want to try it out more, because you have those type of situations that can come up, and the exploding dice that actually allowed that to happen make for that it makes for that feel that you can't really get in D&D, because if you crit on an attack, it only means a guaranteed success or maybe a little bit more damage. And unless you're building specifically towards a crit build, all right, you can do a lot more damage. But here you have the potential. Everybody has the potential to really just have magnificent things happen every so often.
I want to see some exploding dice.
And literally, like, I got a really high roll, like 40, 50 something. And that was with a D20 roll of a 2. But my die sixes kept exploding. And if you're not familiar with the term, don't worry about it. It's easy enough. It's essentially when you roll max on a die, you get to roll that die again and add it to it. Keep rolling max. Keep adding.
So when we actually had a trial of this with creator Brian Feaster, Ryan actually rolled a 71 on like just a D20.
Yeah, he literally rolled 320.
20, 11.
Which is not something that happens all that often. I wonder what the probabilities are on that.
It's mighty high.
Yeah, I'm sure someone in the comments might even tell us how high they are.
Well, Brian had said at that point in time that was the highest that he had seen.
No, it was tied.
It was tied?
Yeah, it was tied for the highest. I've seen posts elsewhere though that says where there was like a 78 or something, where something was higher. But I could definitely see how it could go a lot higher. Especially, it's a much easier on the DM side because there's certain monsters and stuff that just get advantage on rolls. So like if you're using bosses, they get a lot of advantages, and that is one of the reasons why the damage was so high, was because this monster was a very high level boss monster, so it got like a very big advantage. So I got to roll a lot of dice.
We heard a lot of dice.
Yeah. So that was a lot of fun, and you know, one of the things I did to really set the tone for this game too was I wanted the actual party that the players were a part of to be much larger than it was. So I could shrink it down and be like, yeah, these could be some desperate times, and there's some stuff that's going to happen that might not be so good. And we considered doing it just as a whole 100% narration, but in the end we decided to play it out and and do a mix of narration and role playing, and and let the dice dictate some things in the game. And I think it was better that way, and I think the players kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And we're kind of easing our players into engaging a new rule system and learning it as we go.
In a very crazy world as well.
Yeah,
I'm interested to see what the other players, especially the ones that are more combat oriented, dealing with these kind of terrors, how they decide to kind of go forward with their character.
Well,
because I would be more cautious after that. I would be way more cautious.
I know. I'm pretty happy with my. I'm just gonna hide build.
Yeah.
Well, you started off right.
Hopefully, the players will play it that way and not try and D&D it.
Open Legend is a system where that is exactly what you have to do. So you have to have players that are able to rein in based on the theme of the game, as opposed to like, oh, well, I have access to hurl energy, which means I can cast lightning bolt every day, all day long, without having a drain on my resources.
Right, you have to look at but it's a very big part of playing in Open Legend system is kind of like you establishing the rules for your character and following them.
Yes.
And then and getting buy-in from the GM, and the GM kind of agreeing on it. Like, I feel like there's a lot of contracts that happen in Open Legend between player and DM that where other systems the rules just define it and you just kind of like color between the lines.
Right.
Here the lines are less defined, so it's really up to the player and the DM to agree upon them.
Yeah, it's like you draw the one side, and I'll draw the other.
It's like a negotiation. So, session 1's under our belt. We'll be playing session 2 later this week. Looking forward to it. If you guys have checked out session 1 and the world building we did already, let us know in the comments below. Let us know what you think. While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe.
You can check us out over at nerdarchy.com.
You can tweet at us at Nerdarchy.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.